Hey everyone, it's Tom Karadza with another Rockstar Minute, and one of the most common questions we get is what to do or how to prepare for the next real estate crisis of any sort. So there's four things that we always think about, and you want to do these four things when times are good before any sort of real estate correction comes our way. So the four things are, number one would be locking in any interest rates that you have if you're concerned that interest rates are going to rise. So for us, we kind of ride out variable rates. We have for a very long time. When the spread between the variable and the fixed is very small, sometimes we have gotten the fixed rate, but if you're at all nervous about interest rates moving up or down during a financial crisis, you may want to at least understand the process of how to fix your variable rate mortgages. So call your bank, call your mortgage company, and tell them if you're on a variable rate mortgage today, or ask them, what's the process to lock in my rate? Just understand that process. So if things get wonky in the world, you understand how to quickly go and lock in your rate if you so choose. So that'd be thing number one to prepare for. Number two is refinance any properties now. When times are tough, if there's a real estate correction, it's often because of the lack of credit. Although interest rate adjustments do affect the real estate market, access to credit is the biggest influencer of the real estate market. And that's what happened in 2007, 2008. Access to credit vanished. Interest rates were still pretty low. The credit access changed. So refinance your properties now while times are good, because when times are bad, if there's a real estate correction, you're not going to be able to go and tap into any of the equity in some of the properties that you have then. So do that stuff now. Item number three is any refinance that you do, let's say you get a credit line during that refinance process on some of your properties and you're not using it. So you have a big fat credit line, let's say like $100,000 of access to credit. You want to access that money before a real estate crisis or really early on in the process if there's a deep financial crisis going on. And the reason for that is that we saw in the US, friends of ours, banks just closed unused credit lines. So if they had a credit line of $100,000 and it was a $0 balance, they would just get a letter in the mail and the bank had closed it on them behind their backs without them knowing. So the way to get around that, or some of our friends in the US, what they did is they would take the money out of their credit line and put it into a different bank. And then that way the bank couldn't close their credit line because they were owed money, and they had that money sitting in like a checking account somewhere else so they could use it if they needed it. So just a little strategy to be aware of so you don't get shut out of credit lines that you might need during any sort of real estate correction. And item number four would be fixing any negative cash flow properties. So any properties that you have today while times are good, if they are negative cash flow, you want to decide if you want to keep those during a real estate correction. So let's say there's a 2-year correction or a 3-year or even a 5-year. Can you afford to keep that negative cash flow property when times are tough for 2, 3, 4, or 5 years? If you can't address that today, either sell the property or do something else with the property, like turn a single family home into a student rental or turn it into a second suite to get more income from the property so that you can carry it when times are tough. You don't want to be stuck with a lot of negative cash flowing properties during a real estate correction. So none of this is to say a real estate correction is coming our way. You just want to consider these items now while times are good before any real estate correction possibly does hit us. That's it for now. Hopefully that gives you something to think about. Until next time, your life, your terms.